The news of the shooting last night as well.
I have 9, 7, 3, and a newborn. There is nothing my kids have ever done or could ever do that would make me want to take their life. Do they make me mad? On a daily basis. That's every parent on the planet. If you don't have a kid, you'll understand one day. Kids drive you nuts. They push your buttons. But there's...
Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up now! Stand up! Stand the fuck up!
Aircraft is going to go ahead and fly whenever any units can advise.
Get your hands out of here.
The town of New Richmond, Ohio, with 2,800 people, lost its innocence around 4 p.m. on Thursday, June 13, 2023. A mother lost her 3 sons. Chad Christopher Doerman, 32, put his 3, 4, and 7-year-old boys in a line in the backyard and killed them in front of his wife and stepdaughter Alexis, 14. While trying to stop him, his 34-year-old wife Laura was shot in the hand. Laura Doreman and Chad Christopher Doerman lived in the 1900 block of Laurel Lindale Road in this small, quiet city on the Ohio River, 33 miles southeast of Cincinnati. Laura was a stay-at-home mom, and Chad was the one who brought in the money. Friends and family say that Laura and her 3 sons, Hunter, Clayton, and Chase, were very close. They also say that the 3 boys could not be separated and always played and supported each other. The baseball coach for the oldest son liked to call these 3 kids a little pack and said they were sweet, funny, and caring. In addition, they both loved baseball. It is still early in the investigation, and it's possible that the terrible events of June 15th have changed how people see Chad's relationships with other family members. While Keith Doreman, Chad's father, has said that his son was a good dad who loved his kids and snapped, friends and neighbors have not said the same thing. Someone in the neighborhood, in public, Jim Kim Cannon, said that Chad Doerman constantly abused his wife and kids. He was mad all the time. It seemed like he yelled at his wife and kids every day. There were no referrals, requests, complaints, or calls referring to Chad Doerman or his address, according to a records request to Clermont County Children's Protective Services. However, a neighbor said he saw an angry Chad throwing a couple of them, the kids, around in the yard one day. People who said they were friends with Chad Doerman knew how unstable he was. According to Mark Holland, Doerman's friend, he had a bad temper. I feel like he was a bomb about to go off. In 2010, he was arrested for hitting his father because he was saying he choked him. The victim did not show up to court on August 26, 2010, so the charge was dropped. Keith Doerman now says that the whole thing was just a misunderstanding. The unthinkable tragedy takes place. 14 minutes ago, the first 911 call came in. A woman's voice, later identified as Laura's, was heard telling dispatchers that her babies had been shot. A woman driving by saw a teenager with long blonde hair yelling and running down the street with a small black dog at the same time. She was on her way to a fire station nearby. That was Alexis, who was 14 years old. The girl yelled that her stepfather was killing everyone in the house. When the woman came over to see what was wrong, the kind person tried to get the scared teen into the car, but she said she didn't want to leave her family and would instead stay with them. Alexis kept going toward the fire station while the woman driving called 911. The police came quickly, and what they found at the scene was hard to understand. The responding officer's body camera caught Chad Doerman sitting on the porch with a rifle, looking eerily calm and not at all affected by the horrible things he had just done to his family. But
where's he at?
Shooter's on the porch.
Get him right here. You got him on the porch.
We've asked, that's the last place we've been told.
You
that
show me
he's
your hands now! Stand up and
Walk towards us!
Stand up now!
Walk towards us! Stand up with your hands up!
We know we got a visual in the mail. Not showing his hands, not following commands.
Stand up now!
Not showing hands or following commands. His name is Chad Doerman. Chad Doerman.
I know, but we can't.
If people need first aid and he's not complying, you know he's a shooter, shoot him.
We gotta find cover first. We ain't no good if we ain't safe ourselves. Hey, no. We need it coming from this side where we can see them. Don't take cover behind her. We see him. We're going to approach from this side. We got cover. Right here.
6 number 29 and 63 attack that. Yeah, I'm okay right now.
Show us your fucking hands now! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up now! Stand up! Stand the fuck up!
EMS to stage and air clear is going to go ahead and fly whenever any units can advise.
Get your hands out of here.
72.
Tell them we're 21. It's in the air.
Those guys can confirm that there's people that need first aid, and that's the shooter who's not complying. They need to take care of the
I got it.
victims. They have to shoot him and shoot him.
Man, I ain't trying to hurt nobody. I'm completely sober. Never did drugs a day
63,
in my
we're
life.
21. Get the EMS over here.
Well, I did drugs when I was little, but I don't do drugs now. I'm sober. I'm not trying to fight you.
63.
Get your butt inside. Gatlin, get your butt inside.
We on primary?
Now.
29, we got 3 kids down. 3 kids down, 63 up.
Gatlin.
63, we're 21.
Knock
Have
it off.
EMS respond over here.
You're clear, they're being advised. Robert 34, just started mass casualty response. 63, do you want them to respond to the Laurel Lindale address? Where exactly do you need them?
We're right in the front yard. What are you doing, man?
Hey, are you copying all this?
Can I roll over? I ain't gonna hurt you. I ain't gonna hurt nobody.
You got anything on you?
No, I ain't got nothing, man. Phone, that's it. I ain't mad. I ain't nothing. Just make sure that dog don't come out. I don't think he'll bite you. Just don't reach for him and try to grab him and pet him.
Right.
He won't bite you.
What's going on, man?
Nothing. Can I stand up? It's kind of uncomfortable.
I'm gonna get
I ain't
you
gonna
here
do
in a
nothing. I ain't
second.
running away. You can do whatever you want with me.
Here. You the only one else inside the house?
What?
You the only one else inside the house? Sit down right here.
My daughter, she ran over to the fire department.
Sit down.
It's my stepdaughter.
Put him in the cage.
But it was clear that the first responders were scared. Heartbreaking footage from the aftermath showed police officers trying to understand how horrible the crime was while they tried to secure the area and help people who were hurt. The kids would not wake up no matter how much medical help they got. In a surreal moment, you could see the trauma and raw emotion on the first responders' faces, while the person who did the harm sat there with a stone-faced expression on his or her face. Without a hitch, Chad Doerman was arrested and taken to the Clermont County courthouse, where he reportedly confessed everything.
Evil, I think, is the only word that really can describe what we heard today. Now, Chad Doerman, like you said, went in front of a judge here at the Clermont County Municipal Court around 10 this morning. Now, prosecutors say that this is the worst crime that they have ever seen, and they push to make sure that Doerman will not be able to get out of jail anytime soon. So they requested a $20 million bond, which the judge did grant. Now, that $20 million bond, the prosecutors say, is the most that they know of in Clermont County history. I do want to let you listen to what the prosecutor had to say in court, but again, we do want to warn you that what you are about to listen to is very hard to hear and contains some truly horrific descriptions about what happened.
Trauma that this man has inflicted on his family, the community, law enforcement, first responders, and all of the rest of us who have any idea what's going on here is unspeakable. There's been a full admission in this case, Judge. The case is still new. We're still discovering facts. But the evil horror of what we know is impossible to process. In an act of just incomprehensible cruelty, the father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys, and he executed them in his own home with a rifle. They were ages 3, 4, and 7, Judge. in an act of desperation to save her children, the mother at some point grabbed the gun that father was wielding to attempt to protect them. We know that one of the boys was able to flee into a field near the home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses. The mother was shot through the hand in her attempt to protect her children. Judge, I asked the court in setting this bond to just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. The man they trust more than any other person on earth. The person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world, he was their guardian, and he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission.
Now, here's a look at what happened according to investigators. The children's mother called 911 around 4:15 yesterday afternoon. She told dispatchers that, quote, her babies had been shot. Now, this all, when they arrived, the sheriff's deputies made contact with Doreman, who was actually just sitting outside of the home, and then arrested him. Now, the boy's 34-year-old mother, she had been shot in the hand, like you heard the prosecutor said, and was also outside the house. Now, court documents say that Doreman confessed to planning and carrying out the deaths of these victims for several months. Now, I've covered a lot of murder cases in my time as a journalist over the past 15 years. And I must say that the details in this case are just absolutely horrific. And it's not often that you see a prosecutor get choked up like we did in the courtroom this morning. Now, Doreman will be held on that $20 million bond, and he did not enter a plea today, despite what you heard there, investigators saying that he has admitted to these killings.
No training of any kind prepares you for this. It's easy to forget that these are men and women with families, children, feelings, emotions. They're not some automaton performing a delegated function. They're people. They were required to give CPR to gunshot children, 3, 4, and 7-year-old children. They held these boys in their arms, knowing there was nothing they could do to save them. How long do those scars last?
Parents in the community reacted to the news of the shooting last night as well.
I have 9, 7, 3, and a newborn. There is nothing my kids have ever done or could ever do that would make me want to take their life. Do they make me mad? On a daily basis. That's every parent on the planet. If you don't have a kid, you'll understand one day. Kids drive you nuts. They push your buttons. But there's nothing they could ever do to make me want to shoot them. Nothing.
I just seen the kids out playing yesterday, like the little boy was riding his go-kart like he does all the time. They were good kids. He was just a very angry man. Like he just was always yelling at his wife and his kids, and you just really don't pay no attention to stuff like that, and then this happens.
They just should not be cut down like that. They should not. No father should ever even think about doing that to their children.
Doreman was charged on Friday by David Gast, the chief prosecutor for Clermont County's municipal court. Gast said that one of the boys tried to run away into a nearby field, but Doreman hauled him down and killed him before bringing him back to their house. Investigators also learned that he had been planning the killings for at least 3 months. It didn't take him long to get ready for what he did. He used a Marlin Model HC-22 rifle, which is usually used to hunt squirrels and other small animals. This gun looks like it could be one he already had. Without a doubt, he had no plans to try to get away with it. On June 11th, 4 days before the murder, Doreman changed his Facebook profile picture to a picture of his 3 young sons. Recently, he also posted a few pictures of himself with the boys. One of the pictures shows Doreman and his 3 sons giving each other a thumbs up. When I look back, this seems ominous. Some people think Chad Doerman meant to kill himself, but the police stopped him before he could do it. Not believing that, for how long does it take to hold a gun to your head and fire it? Very quickly, he killed all 3 of his children and hurt his wife, who was trying hard to stop him. He left so much horrible damage that he could have easily killed her wife or himself. Nevertheless, he chose not to. Why do you think he was thinking about committing suicide? Keith Doreman, his father, who is 59 years old, says his son has never had a mental illness. People have said that Doreman might have a drinking problem, but that doesn't seem to have any effect on what he is doing. During his arrest, he told the police that he was completely sober. We don't know why Chad Doerman did what he did yet, so we have to guess. There may be clues in the way Chad behaved at the crime scene and in the reasons given by other dads who have killed their kids. When it comes to his murders, Doreman not only killed his wife, but he also killed their children in front of her.
New details are emerging about the horrific day on June 15th when Clermont County investigators say that Chad Doerman admitted to killing his 3 sons. I've received the bill of particulars from the investigation. The public document lays out what investigators say took place that day. A warning here that some details of this case can be uncomfortable to hear.
Stand up! Stand up now!
Chad Doerman was taken into custody without issue as he sat on the side of his home on June 15th. The bill of particulars document says he sat there and calmly watched his wife Laura undertake futile life-saving measures on her 3 children. It all began, according to the document, shortly after Chad Doerman came home early from work and asked his wife and 3 boys to join him in the master bedroom for a nap. The document says Doerman grabbed a Marlin Model HC-22 caliber rifle from next to the bed in a gun safe and shot one son twice. Investigators say Doerman's wife immediately began to render aid to her son and yelled for her other children to run. The document says Doerman's stepdaughter walked into the room and witnessed the shooting and ran out of the back of the home, chasing after her brother, who was already running toward a field. Doerman, according to the document, gave chase and began shooting, hitting his son, knocking him to the ground. Doerman then walked up to his son, where he fired 1 shot into his head at close range. The document then lays out how the stepdaughter ran back toward the house and picked up the youngest son, Chase, and tried to run from the property. Doerman caught up to them and demanded that she put Chase down. When she did, Doerman attempted to shoot his son in the head, but the gun didn't fire. At that point, Chase ran to his mother on the side of the house where she was rendering aid to her other son. Doerman would eventually shoot Chase at close range, killing him. The document also reveals that Doerman's wife, Laura Hensley, fought back at one point. Hensley grabbed the firearm, placing her thumb over the barrel. Doerman then firing the rifle, shooting through her thumb. In the account of that day, the document says Doerman made several statements like, "I did it, take me to jail." It goes on to say Doerman admitted during a recorded interview that he had been thinking about shooting his sons since October, and it had been weighing so heavy on him that he hadn't slept for 3 or 4 days prior to murdering his 3 sons.
If you'd like to take a closer look, that is, at the entire bill of particulars tied to this case, we have put the entire document on WCPO.com.
He obviously wanted her to see them be put to death and to have to deal with how terrible their death would be for her. Alexis reportedly told police that her mother had told Chad that she would divorce him if he kept drinking and causing more problems with neighbors because he was drunk. This happened a few months before the murders. No psychologist or rocket scientist is needed to guess that he was very angry at his wife based on how he committed the crime, and he used his kids as weapons against her. Philip Resnick, a psychologist, did a thorough review of the literature in 1960 and came up with 5 reasons why parents kill their children. To get rid of an unwanted child, most common in newborns or children under 1. Partner revenge, payback for marital conflict and/or separation. Psychosis, the parent is delusional and kills the child while having severe mental health symptoms. And alt people have thought about these reasons in different ways in the past, but they still mostly make sense today. Most research on filicide has been done on mothers, even though fathers are just as likely as mothers to kill their children. From what we know about fathers who killed their children, we can see that they have similar reasons but different rates of doing so. In other words, both men and women can kill a child when they are severely mentally ill or when they are angry or want to get even. But women who commit filicide are more likely to be mentally ill. Anger or resentment over a fight or threat of a divorce is also a very different reason for killing a child among men and women. 12% of women versus 42%. A study done in South Africa in 2022 shows some interesting things about the minds of parents who killed their child to get back at the other parent. This is what they found after looking at 20 revenge filicide killers, 14 men and 6 women. Since the murderer has lost their social identity and is angry, we think that their anger turns into an all-consuming, overwhelming rage. The partner who kills and tends to blame and control, external locus of control, gets angry when they feel pain. The blinding anger, which is sometimes called narcissistic rage, is caused by a lot of emotional pain. When you have a lot of bad emotions, you want to hurt people at all costs, sometimes in a cruel way to make sure that justice is done both ways. If you have a controlling partner who puts all of his problems on other people, plus more problems in the marriage and the threat of divorce, you might end up with a parent whose emotions are so strong that he doesn't see his kids as people, but as pawns. Police say that Doreman has given a full confession. It is the highest bond ever given in Clermont County. $20 million for Chad Doerman. He is in jail. Among the 21 charges he was given on June 22, 2023, were aggravated murder for the deaths of his 3 sons, kidnapping, and felonious assault. The next time he appears in court is June 23rd. That's what happened. Very little comfort in the midst of grief, pain, loss, and suffering. Many people were affected by this terrible crime, including Laura and Alexis, everyone who knew and cared about the family, the first responders who worked so hard to help, the people in the area, and thousands of parents who saw pictures of the cute boys who loved each other and were loved by many.